DreamWorks is the GOAT of all the animation studios out there. Now, I know I always say one of the best in my ranking videos, but DreamWorks...
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Starting their studio off with the very odd movie Ants, and now announcing their recent film Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken, coming out in the summer. I love DreamWorks, but they just got standard stuff with the movies and stories that they're trying to tell. Their first movies are alright, their second movies are even better than the first one, and then their third is just...
What is that? What the is that?
And some are just not good, and they're lame, boring, and have lazy writing to the point where I'm just like... So today's video, I decided to rank every DreamWorks film they've ever made. Now, DreamWorks has so many movies, so we're gonna be here
all day.
Now, before we begin, I just want to say that this is entirely my opinion. If y'all like these movies, I'm sorry, don't hate me. I'm just a simple black guy talking about animated movies now. Before the vid starts, like always, make sure to like and subscribe, and let's get on with the video, man.
In the back of my mind.
Okay, straight up, this movie sucks. There's nothing fun about this movie. The characters are annoying. I mean, the only character I thought who felt realistic was Branch. But no, that's too much for the audience. That's not gonna appeal to children, so we have to make him a happy-go-lucky stupid troll. Creek is a terrible antagonist. I wish he died, bro. I wish the King Bergen could have just ate him. But he's kind of funny too, because he would legit betray his own race than to be eaten. I hate this movie very much, but it didn't bomb the way I expected it to be. At least my favorite YouTuber could see that. To be honest, if you saw this movie as a kid or now, I guess you would enjoy it. And yes, I know it's a kid's movie. They're self-aware, they know what they're doing. But a stupid kid's movie still needs to have a decent plot or story, but I guess this just didn't hit for me. I need to find it good, I need to find it relatable. None of this movie felt relatable to me. I guess the Find the Happy Place was alright, you could say. But overall, Trolls is just a trash movie. And if you guys enjoy it, that's okay. But me, personally, I just don't like this film. It's a waste of your time. Don't watch it. This is actually a really disappointing sequel. Wait a minute. This is actually a really disappointing sequel. Like, it sucks. Sorry, had a weird flashback. Sorry, where were we? Now, The Boss Baby was not the best film made, but it was alright. Stupid, but a very nice family film. But this movie, this movie, why was this made? Because this ain't a movie, this is a whole fever dream. I couldn't even make it through half of the movie because it was so boring. The story was lame, the movie is not even funny at all. And the daughter boss baby, or the little boss baby, or whatever her name is, she was just annoying. This whole movie is just entirely aggravating. There was no reason for this movie to be made. And that antagonist too, like, well, what is his purpose? Like, I don't even really care. Like, why did you create him, DreamWorks? Why did you create this lame antagonist that doesn't mean anything to anyone? I understand what they were trying to do, but I wasn't flying with anything in this movie. I couldn't imagine finding someone who actually enjoyed this film, and if y'all enjoy this film, that's your problem, okay? I'm not here to bash your opinion. This is just my opinion. But this movie's not funny, it's not entertaining. I mean, probably a couple solid jokes here and there, but just this whole movie is just not good. This is just boring and a waste of your time, like I said. But you guys get it. This is just a dull piece of garbage. I'm gonna move on, because there's nothing much to say about this lameness of a movie. Rewatching this was not what I expected. Turbo, you already know the plot. It's just a predictable movie. What is the freaking point? I know the cast had a lot of fun making this movie, but there are just some stupid moments that just pissed me off and made me not enjoy the movie. The jokes kinda didn't hit hard, and the antagonist is trash. Like, he's a racer having beef with a snail. A snail, for crying out loud. If that's not embarrassing or ridiculous, then I don't know what is. The only character I enjoyed was Chet. At least he had common sense. But to be honest, what kind of snail wants to be fast? Like, just stick to how... But to be honest, what kind of snail wants to be fast? Just stick to who you are, man. Like, that's just how snails are. But I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to say. This movie is just ridiculous. It kind of doesn't make any sense. I enjoyed some characters, but just, you know, it was just so stupid and ridiculous. Like, come on, a freaking snail going fast. Like, stop trying to be Sonic, bro. You are a snail.
Come on, guy. I promise everything.
What is this? At least the original is better than this piece of garbage, because this movie sucks. There is nothing fun or cool about this movie. I'm not gonna spend too much time on this. I'm just gonna tell you my opinion and just get this over with. I mean, the movie just followed a girl running around with a titular horse, which was, I guess, kind of nice to see their chemistry, I guess. I enjoyed some scenes, but the movie is just the most cookie-cutter garbage every time. I'm so glad this movie bombed. It's actually kind of sad that the first movie is so much better. How could this movie mess up? This is literally one of the reasons why I feel like some sequels are annoying, because they can never get anything right. Out of all the Shrek movies, this is my least favorite one. Well, the story? Well, they're doing the King Arthur storyline, but it's kind of like a parody with Shrek. I mean, sure, there was some stuff I laughed at, but honestly, this was kind of a letdown. Charming was a lame antagonist. Like, dude, you really can't handle anything without your mummy, my guy. Like, without her, you're completely worthless, so there's no point of you starting some kind of evil rebellion. I also found Shrek to be incredibly selfish in this film because he was meant to be king after Fiona's father died, but he thinks he can't handle it, so he gets a descendant from the king, who is Arthur, and you know the rest. Low-key surprised that this was a box office success because I've seen so many videos on people bashing this film. Also, Shrek was afraid to be a dad. I mean, as I get older, I'll experience stuff like this, but you know, he's just afraid to be a dad. But I just don't enjoy the film. It's kind of boring, bland, not really original. Now, is it stupid and kind of boring? Yes. But does it have a decent plot? Sorta. Fail. Some bad, more like really bad, because this movie sucks. Yeah. No. If there's one credit I can give this movie for is making that sexy antagonist, like, I know she was evil, but she was so freaking fine in that purple dress, like, dog. I wasn't the only one fantasizing about her. But I didn't really enjoy this film. There's a whole tons of stupid decisions made in this movie. It made me twist and turn, and I swear I would rather lick Nick Avocado's cheeks than watch this film. I mean, I understand the message they're trying to tell, you know, be a hero, not a thief or whatever. But like I said, I wasn't really rocking with the overall tone. I mean, there's not that much I gotta say about this movie. It just sucks the life out of you. I mean, I'm gonna be real. I know this could be a childhood classic to some, but just not for me. So yeah, this movie's just sluggish. You know, there's gotta be that one animated movie from a very well-known animation studio that no one talks about. Because who talks about this film? Let's be realistic. Whoever talks about Sinbad? Like, not a single, I never heard or hear anybody talk about this movie. I mean, did this really have to be made? Now, don't get me wrong. I enjoy spin-offs. There's some that I enjoy, and there's some that I'm just like, what were you thinking? Now, the Penguins of Madagascar kind of made me feel that way. Now, I love the Penguins. You know, they're my brother from another mother. I grew up on them just like you. But, like, did they really need to have their own movie? Did they really need, like, an origin story? I feel like they didn't need that. I mean, I'm a fan of them, but I feel like they didn't need that. We made a generic amount of characters. You know, we got the wolf voiced by Doctor Strange. We got the freaking, I don't know what he is, like some kind of walrus. Okay, I'm stupid. I forgot what. I could care less about these spy-themed characters. They're nothing special. They're just there with the penguins, you know, as allies or whatever. And the antagonist, Hank the Octopus or Octo, whatever he is, he's honestly the one of the most booty cheek antagonists of all DreamWorks. Now again, I said one of. Might make a video about DreamWorks villains. A couple of funny moments here and there, but this was just a very boring movie. I cannot keep my eyelids open for 1 minute. But what I'm trying to say is this is just a tiresome movie. I really enjoyed them in Madagascar. Like, they're much better in Madagascar. Like, giving them an origin story wasn't really the smart idea, to be honest. The story's mid. The characters are uninspired and uninteresting, and just the overall tone is just so meh. I don't know what to like about this movie. Like, there's nothing special about it. Like the penguins are now with Alex, Marty, Melman, or Gloria. Like there's nothing interesting about them. They're just penguins.
No, yes.
I swear we cannot get enough of this. I still don't care. I hate shows. They can have as much TV shows, specials, or sequels. I don't care. I will always hate trolls. The antagonist was a joke. She wanted Shrinks to take over all music, but changes her mind and feels bad after everything doesn't work out. You dummy, you big dummy. That was clearly not gonna work. You wanted to turn all music into rock, you stupid troll. Like, what was your intentions? What was really your goal? Cause that doesn't even make any sense. What do you think would have happened next? You thought everything was just gonna work out totally fine? Well, yes, probably. So many annoying stuff, just so irritating. Like, this movie just gives me a headache. It gets me really annoyed that this movie was even successful. Like, why are they always so happy all the time? I don't understand. Like, this is real life. Life isn't all about rainbows and cupcakes and hugs and dear lord. Those of y'all who are still watching this video, which thank you, please let me know in the comments why anyone loves this movie or appreciates this movie. Because, I mean, I'll respect the creativity of this movie, but just this movie just turns me the wrong way. I mean, the message kind of sucks. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, I know it appeals to children. I'm just not rolling with this. I also heard they announced Trolls 3, and I'm definitely not excited for that.
Marinara, mozzarella, marinara.
Not my favorite film, but it was a pretty decent family film. The movie follows this kid named Tim who's jealous of his new baby brother, but he later finds out that he can talk, and so they team up to stop the world from liking puppies than babies. No, I'm not messing with you. They have how can I say this? A modest plot, and the dynamic between the two characters were pretty funny to see. But some choices made were incredibly predictable and annoying to watch. Rewatching this film, I feel like Tim is actually the antagonist. I mean, I don't know what it's like to be an only child, but like judging from how he reacted when he first found out he was getting a brother, like he's a villain. That's a villain origin story. Let's also not forget the time he threatened to literally throw him out or swing him out the window with his baby carriage thingy. And also when he said he wished he had never been born. Evilism. He's just not good. But don't forget, he is like 10 or 11 years old or something like that. He wasn't a terrible character per se. He just the tendencies he had wasn't good. But I'm not gonna lie, the ending is stupid but also kind of sweet and hilarious. The boss baby and Tim have a close connection. They genuinely have like a brother-like relationship, so they make up their mind and they become brothers, which is just wow. Like all this for nothing. Y'all are fighting and you finally both got what you wanted, and y'all both give that up just because you want to be brothers. This movie doesn't make any sense. But in conclusion, The Boss Baby was a pretty, mediocre film. It's not the worst thing ever made, but it's kind of not the greatest thing ever made either. It's that sweet spot in the middle, you know what I'm saying? The characters are kind of entertaining to watch. The plot is surprisingly entertaining. And the antagonist, he goofy, but it's like that good kind of goofy, you know? So those are my thoughts on The Boss Baby. This movie was very passable. Not what I expected, but it's their third movie. Let them have fun. The film follows our favorite animals as they try to escape from this French lady who wants to get Alex's head. So they end up running into circus animals, and the circus animals, they ain't so bad. They're pretty cool side characters, especially that cheetah. I enjoyed the tone of the film. Loved that the circus the afro. That was kind of a banger. The message isn't bad. I just feel like they could have done more with the story. But other than that, this movie is just really good. I really love the performances by the actors, especially the antagonist. She's wild. It's so colorful and so beautiful. There's nothing wrong with this movie. It's just some decisions and some choices kind of turned me off. But yeah, but at the end of the day, it's just a nice family film to watch with the homies, the family. It's just a really great film. Now you might be wondering why I placed it this low. I know this is just my opinion when I rank stuff like this. I kind of enjoy Madagascar than the third film, and yes, I know some people might disagree with me, but that's just how I think. I kind of enjoyed Madagascar than Europe's Most Wanted. But those of you who are still watching this video, which again, thank you, tell me in the comments, which one is your favorite. Let me know, because I probably might change my mind on it. This was an enjoyable movie, like the first film more, but this was decently funny. Sure, some moments are a head scratcher, but this movie has so many creative scenes, and another scene I enjoyed was the origin story for Guy. It's nice to know what happened to him before he met the crews. I feel like this movie really focused on the relationship between Eep and Guy and how much they care about each other, which was very nice to see. I really like the new characters they added into this movie. They were pretty cool to see. Don Betterman was kind of quirky though. Hold up. Oh, for the love of... But there's not that much I gotta say about the cruise, go check it out. It's a fair watch, trust me. The characters are surprisingly interesting, but the creatures in that movie are just out of this world. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, overall, I just enjoyed the cruise. It's a nice family film. Just go watch it, please. It's really enjoyable, please. I promise you, it's a really great film. Alright, now let me explain. So I know this movie was a box office disappointment, but I enjoyed the movie. At least it's better than the second one. The movie follows the titular horse as he goes on an adventure. Sorry, I just couldn't let that scene slide. The movie follows the titular horse as he goes on an adventure of a lifetime. You meet so many great and important characters. Now, I know you may not care, but I do, okay? Leave me alone. Enjoyed the dialogue. The cinematography in that film was just encore. I loved it. It breaks my heart that not a lot of people talk about this film. It's really important to me. I may have not watched it in my childhood, but watching it recently, it's not so bad. Sure, there's some predictable moments here and there, but this movie was just so great. The second movie missed this mark by making it kind of Gen Z-like. I enjoy some Gen Z in my stuff, but it's just I wasn't rolling with it. It's not top tier DreamWorks, but it's like somewhere in the middle. But I enjoyed this film regardless, no matter what anyone says. I don't care if it's a box office disappointment. People need to talk more about this film. It's completely underrated. Tell me if you guys watch this movie in the comments, because this movie is just really great. Tell more people about this movie, because this movie was just so phenomenal. Didn't know Matt Damon had it inside him. He really knows how to voice a horse. What a beautiful conclusion. Like I said at the beginning of the video, DreamWorks always has this pattern. Their first movies are pretty great. Their second movie has no right to be as better than the first one. And then their third movie is just chill, you know, blah, blah, blah. It's the ending. You know what they do. Unless they make a crappy fourth movie that literally no one asked for. How to Train Your Dragon 3 wasn't all that. But, you know, it's a pretty nice family film. It's an epic conclusion to a pretty interesting franchise. You know, I enjoyed Hiccup. I enjoyed Astrid. Those twins were annoying. And what can I say about the main star himself, Toothless, man? It's nice to see that he actually found love in this film, and it was really sad to see Hiccup let him go, you know, because they've been friends for a long time, you know. We happily got to see these characters grow throughout the franchise over the years. It's just so amazing. I'm not counting the TV series because I never really grew up watching them. I love the example of acceptance, you know, letting something go, because once you have something for so long, you can't just keep it forever, you know, you just gotta let it fly. But that's all I have to say about How to Train Your Dragon 3. Go watch it if you haven't. Please go watch it. It's definitely worth it. It's actually kind of funny too, so yeah, just go see How to Train Your Dragon 3. This movie starred Jack Smith and Will Black. This is not peak DreamWorks, but this movie's a classic. It's very funny. The movie follows this fish named Oscar who wants to be known as a somebody. So he tells a big lie about killing a shark, which he had never done. And so he teams up with Lenny, a vegetarian who was the younger brother of the shark Oscar forcefully killed. Like, bro. Which is just why. He just becomes well known, he's lying, blah, blah, blah. You know, generic crap they do in animated movies, despite it being very generic. And, you know, I enjoyed it, sort of. It's one of those animated movies that make you feel comfortable, makes you, like, feel a part of this weird little world. But one thing I will kind of bash the film for is the Italian stereotypes in that movie. Like, cause what the heck? Like, they weren't funny, they were really offensive. And it wasn't even the Italian stereotypes. Oscar also said this.
Snap it. Oscar. You're not snapping it. Oscar. Hey, don't sweat it, Sykes. A lot of white fish can't.
Yes, I know this is a stupid reason to bash this film because it was good for its time back in the day, but I'm also gonna bash the film over its animation. I'm sorry. Like, the animation just looks so wonky and funky. Like, it looks like you can just stretch them out the movie, to be honest. Like, you just stretch them like you stretch the crap out of quicksand. Kinetic Sand. And they added this movie on Netflix, and I got to watch it by myself, and rewatching it, it wasn't as good. I don't give it. But at the end of the day, it's just a mediocre film. You know, it's a kid's movie. Yeah, it teaches terrible lessons. I'm gonna be real, but you know, it's a family classic. It's a classic. Come on now. I grew up on this movie. But yeah, that's all I gotta say about Shark Tale. I have a really mixed reception over it. Also, my favorite YouTuber made a video on this movie. You should totally go check it out. I totally recommend it. I'll try leaving it in the description down below. I'm gonna be real. When I was younger, I thought this was the third movie. Shrek the Third was the fourth movie, bro. I know I was a stupid child. I really don't understand Shrek's character. Like, one minute he's chill and cool, but like he just has some annoying tendencies that kind of piss me off. It happens throughout the franchise and I just don't get him. Like, do you want this or do you want that? Make up your mind, Shrek. You were literally the conflict of this movie. Rumpelstiltskin was a top tier villain. Like I said, I gotta make a video about DreamWorks villains because they are just, like, he just steals the show every time. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy the movie to death, but just the plot is just kind of stupid. Like, Shrek has a good life here and he just wants to give that up just to go back to his old days. Like, he basically sold his soul cartoon version. Some of the characters' changes were decently funny, especially Puss in Boots. Like, fat Puss in Boots, bro. You're looking kind of thick. Fiona kind of got on my nerves. I mean, I understand the change. Like, she wants to be prepared for anything, but like, why did she have to be so rude and annoying and mean? As for Donkey, he didn't really change. He he was just himself. He just didn't know who anyone was, you know. Donkey was just Donkey. Like, what else do you want me to say? He was funny, but like, he was just Donkey. But enough about that. Let me talk about the main star of the show, Rumpelstiltskin. Like, his character was just so funny and amazing. Like, I don't even care that he's evil. He's one of the most Sorry, I got a little bit eccentric there. Rumpelstiltskin's gotta be one of the greatest DreamWorks villains ever made. I don't care what anyone says. Like, his face. Like, look at his face. His evil plump face. His goals are fine and simple, and he's actually kind of smart. You know, all he wants to do is just rule the kingdom. He wants to rule far, far away. That's all he wants. And my man can trick people so bad, bro. Like, he's so good. Too bad he got defeated. I was low-key rooting for him because this is honestly Shrek's fault, you know? Shrek wanted this. But here are my overall thoughts about the movie. The movie's good. I just feel like they could have done better because Shrek just doesn't make any sense. Like, how would you want to leave your wife, your bestest friends, and your kids behind just to go back to your old life? I get that you're stressed, but that was not necessary. But yeah, guys, this is just a pretty common film, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie, this movie was kind of sweet. I like how they make jokes about history and stuff. That's something I like about the film, you know. It has a nice sense of history in there. I also like the chemistry between the two leads. They're really good. We all know what the movie's about, come on. But those of you who are unfamiliar with the film, it follows the smart dog who adopts a human kid, and they create a time machine together called the Wayback. But then the conflicts happen. The Wayback brings back folks from the past, which I thought was kind of funny. But yeah, rewatching this, it was a fun time. Like I said, the chemistry between the two characters are quite good, and the comedy holds up well to this day. If there's one thing I gotta bash the movie for, is for the worst character of all time, Penny. I don't care if she redeemed herself. She was so annoying. She low-key caused the conflict. She's such a greedy little brat, and I just don't enjoy her. But I enjoy the acceptance theme in this movie. I enjoy that a lot of my movies, and the fact that Sherman stood up for Mr. Peabody. And the fact that Sherman stood up for Mr. Peabody, that was just so sweet. Like that, I'm a dog too. Like that. Like, if you didn't feel anything, like, something's wrong with y'all. Not really top tier DreamWorks for me, but this is, you know, someplace in the middle. But yeah, I kind of enjoyed Mr. Peabody and Sherman. It's really funny, has a great message, despite it being a fictional smart dog, and it's just so unique and fun. So in conclusion, Wolf. You guys know what I said about DreamWorks trilogies, so this was surprisingly wonderful. I love the idea that Poe had a father, especially when voiced by Bryan Cranston. And I also loved when Poe found out he's not the only panda, you know, he found his whole race. That was spectacular to see. But them learning how to fight, that kind of turned me off. I feel like a lot of my favorite characters in that movie didn't have as much screen time, you know, but everything about the movie was good, you know, the comedy, you know, is always funnier. Jack Black's always got his performance going, you know, his performance in, like, his vocal performances in that movie is always so fun to see. I love Jack Black so much. And the antagonist of that movie was not as bad. But when I was younger, I kind of hated him. But rewatching the movie, you know, he like I said, the antagonist wasn't really as bad as I thought he was. I mean, he wasn't good, but he wasn't, you know, bad. Does that make sense? His goals were pretty, you know, simple and cool. And his weapons and design is top tier. I will give him that. But there's not that much I gotta say about Kung Fu Panda 3, you know. It's a very likable movie, you know. It's not as best as the first two movies, because the first two movies are out of this world. Go watch it. But Kung Fu Panda 3, you know, it's a safe spot in the middle. If you enjoyed the first two movies, then I guess you would enjoy this one as well. Okay, what do I say about this? I remember watching this movie as a kid, but forgot everything about it as I got older. So rewatching this film during my DreamWorks marathon, it was very stale, but it was that good kind of stale, you know what I mean? Now don't get me wrong, it's an underrated movie. It has my favorite stars in that movie. Seth Rogen is Seth Rogen. Bob was such a remarkable and funny character. But there were some boring moments, and it took me a while to get used to the characters. But Susan was getting on my nerves. Like, bro, like, your husband was an a-hole. I don't understand why you couldn't see that from the start. As soon as he left you because you were a giant, why wasn't that the first thing that came in mind to you? He's not gonna accept you for who you are. Low-key wish they would have done more. I mean, like, sure, like, I enjoyed characters like, you know, Link, Dr. Cockroach, Bob, just, you know, that recording was at. It just felt kind of boring to me, and despite me enjoying some of the main characters, you know, it just, like I said, felt kind of mid. The antagonist was kind of mid as well, despite him being incredibly hilarious. I know, I kind of find him mid. But hey, they're unlikely heroes, and I guess they saved the world, which was good, because the world was literally about to be invaded by aliens. Nice job, military dude. But yeah, it's a well-crafted, put-together movie, but, you know, it's kind of mid. But it's a great movie, don't get me wrong. Go rewatch it if you haven't, but it's kind of in that low section for me. I'm sorry if I placed it this low, and I'm sorry if this is your favorite movie, but that's just how I feel, guys. Tell me in the comments if I should have ranked this higher, because I know this is a childhood classic to some of my viewers here. Please let me know. You will understand later why I added that theme. Despite me finding it kind of boring, this is a childhood classic. I remember being young and going to one of my old friend's car. He had those cars that played movies in the back of the seat, you know what I'm saying? And he put out the CD, and that CD was The Road to El Dorado. It followed these two best friends who wanted to find gold. Yes, that's the premise of the movie. They go on a wild adventure, and they meet a hot lady who was my childhood crush when I was younger. Yep. Now you understand why I added that. The antagonist in that movie was very standard, you know, he just had a very selfish goal. I like the sense of adventure in this movie, and the dynamic between the two characters, Tulio and Miguel, were pretty sweet to see. Like, bros before pals before gals, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, decent family film. Go check it out if you haven't. That's all I gotta say about it.
Uh-oh. Stinky.
I totally forgot about this movie. Rewatching this for this video was kind of a good time. Rhodey the rat is a pet who gets the titular welcome from a Shrey. He's then put into another place deep into the sewer. But then he gets into a conflict with a wannabe frog gang boss or whatever. It's a fun time and some funny moments here and there, but it's pretty weak. compared to other DreamWorks movies that I saw. It just hits you with the same thing over and over and over again. I mean, not that I don't enjoy that in my movies, but still. I mean, the characters, they're kind of, I know I keep saying this, but they're mid. I'm sorry. And I know I haven't properly explained why I kind of found Flushed Away to be kind of boring, but that's just how I am. You know, movies have to have that special mark with me. If the movie doesn't have a special mark with me, then I'm not going to enjoy it. It's just simple. Am I wrong for that? But it is enjoyable. It's an enjoyable film. I will give it that, but you know, it's just I'm just not gonna not rocking with it. The first Madagascar is so hilarious, dude. Like, all jokes aside, it did not have the rights to be this funny. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the film, it follows zoo animals from New York who escape their central zoo. Well, specifically, their zebra friend Marty escapes from the zoo and they get shipped to the titular location. So to me, the funniest part for me to this film is the crappy animation. And yes, I know it was good for its time, but the animation looks so wacky and goofy. And darn it, the scene gets me every time.
You're biting my butt! No, I'm not.
The characters in this movie were pretty amusing and funny, but the story is not top tier than the next Madagascar movie, which we're going to talk about soon, you know what I mean? But this movie has solid jokes, great vocal performances, well, specifically Ben Stiller and Chris Rock, and overall, it's just a fun and good time. We all love to move it, move it.
I like to move it, move it. I like to move it.
This movie was very fun. To the animation, to the creatures in that movie, it's so energetic and zany. I love that in my animated movies. The film follows the titular family, who are the final cave people in their land because half of their population died. Like no kidding. The movie starts out with people getting killed. So the father of the family, Greg, becomes overprotective, which I don't blame him because he just wants to keep his family safe. But one thing I will kind of get him for is making fictional stories of his oldest daughter, Eve, the protagonist, and just killing her. Like, that's just dark. Like, why? But then they make Guy. Guy starts out smarting Greg and making the family like Guy even more. Greg gets jealous, then everyone forgives each other, yada yada yada. You know the rest. This movie is very hilarious and touches on some realistic things that just happen in the real world. For example, dysfunctional family. Every family is not perfect. If you say yours is, then what do you want? I love the relatability in that movie, you know? It shows that you're not the only one with a dysfunctional family. Like, there's plenty out there. But yeah, the cruise was good. Now, my MCU ranking video, if any of you watched it, I placed 2 MCU movies at the same number because I equally loved both of them. So I'm going to do the exact same things for this ranking as well. So I've placed Home and Abominable in the same number, and here's why. They both honestly have sad and deep moments, and despite me thinking that Home did a little bit better, they both have that same level of acceptance for me. Tip accepted O, Ye accepted Everest. Both of these movies are witty and fun and tackle some nice stuff in moments. Loved both the main and supporting characters in their movies. But you guys understand why I put both of them at the same number, because they're both equally good. Both amazing, both emotional. Like, if you disagree with that, it's okay. Me personally, I find both of these movies really fantastic and entertaining. Like, my boy Jin got that BBL. But yeah, both of these movies are at the same level for me. I love this movie. I've been a hardcore fan of this book series since I was in elementary school. You better believe I know the history of the sun. I grew up reading the books and I was excited when they announced the movie. Now, the movie was very funny to me as a kid, but rewatching it now kinda got a mixed reception over it, not gonna lie. Now, don't get me wrong, I love dumb humor. I enjoy a little bit of potty jokes here and there, but I think I've outgrown them a little bit. Am I weird for that? The movie follows 2 best friends, George and Harold, as they hypnotize their school principal, making him into the superhero based on their comic book they made. He then goes on a crazy, wild adventure, fights the antagonist, Poopy Pants. That Poopy Pants scene always gets me. Nick Crow did an amazing job. There are some moments that felt robotic, like this. Another thing I wish they could have done was not cast Kevin Hart and Thomas, because they do not sound like kids. I'm sorry. There's something about their voices that just don't sound like kids. Like it sounds like adults trying to sound like kids. This is something I really appreciated in the Netflix series, which go check it out. It's an amazing adaptation. But Ed Helms, my God, he steals the show every time. Like, both as Krupp and the captain of the Underpants, he gives off a good sense of anger, confusion, and humor, which, let's be real, he had a lot of fun voicing this character. But overall, this movie was pretty spectacular. You know, be a kid, you're only a kid once, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, despite me outgrowing the humor, it's a really likable and enjoyable movie. How to Train Your Dragon 2 is very enjoyable. Something about DreamWorks sequels is that they always have backstories for their main characters, which is really hilarious. Like, you kind of notice that when you watch DreamWorks films. I hate to speak about it, but take Trolls 3 for example. Who made the idea for Branch having a brother? like, come on DreamWorks. Part of some bootleg Backstreet Boys or 4town from freaking Turning Red. In this movie, it basically shows how everyone is doing since dragons are chilling on Burke. But the only reason that this movie is even ranked this high is because we finally got to see Hiccup's mom. That's the only reason. I always wonder what happened to his mom, but the fact that they killed off his father after Hiccup found his mother was honestly depressing. The jokes are kind of funny. Some characters don't have as much screen time, and the antagonist is just so predictable. Come on guys, just look at him. Look at his design. Like, my man looks like an antagonist with those goofy dreadlocks. Just look at him. He just has that punchable face. He just looks like a villain, guys. He is the most deformed antagonist you will ever see in your life. But bad villains aside, I enjoyed this film a lot. You know, I enjoyed this film better than How to Train Your Dragon 3, but it's not as better as the first film, which we'll get into later. But, you know, it's just there because, you know, DreamWorks sequel. It's a classic DreamWorks sequel. Very hilarious movie. Now, I didn't know anything about Over the Hedge other than that turtle meme, but after watching the movie, it's pretty dang funny. I think the best part about this movie for me is the dialogue. They felt real and human. Nothing was left wasted. All these animals wanted was just food. They just wanted to survive, but these stupid humans didn't understand because they don't understand animals. But I'm gonna be real. The funniest part was the main antagonist. He's like one of the best DreamWorks antagonists of all time. Again, I gotta make a video about DreamWorks antagonists. But for those of you who haven't seen the film, I will say it has a solid premise, good characters, good writing, and hilarious scenes. That's all I gotta say for those of y'all who haven't seen the movie. It was nice to see the main character, RJ, trying to do something to help out his friends, his animal friends, while Fern was kind of being an a-hole. But I just enjoyed the movie to death. Go check it out if you haven't watched it. It's totally worth watching again. I'm telling you, it's one of the most funniest DreamWorks movies I've ever seen. Now, how do I feel about this film? I mean, I love Puss in Boots. I remember watching the first movie in my first grade class. It was something special. Now, does it hold up now? Absolutely not. I mean, the Humpty Dumpty storyline was just so confusing and annoying. Not only that, he has a punchable face. Isn't he? Jack and Jill were lame antagonists. I don't care what anyone says. They were so dull and boring and stupid. They're so lame up to the point where I forgot they were in the movie. I guess the main thing that really got me into this film was Puss's character and the relationship between Puss and Kitty Softpaws. Like, it was really sweet to see. And I guess some Humpty and Puss parts were good as well, especially when Humpty sacrificed himself. And, I get some deep moments here and there that were pretty good, which made me enjoy the film. I liked how they made this movie because it explained a lot of Puss in Boots' past, because he just randomly came in Shrek 3 like we're supposed to know the fella. But despite some issues, I just I enjoyed the film. It's not like, I know I keep saying this is not top tier DreamWorks, but it's still an enjoyable family film to watch with the homies, your sisters, just anyone you love to watch movies with. This is your right kind of movie.
Baba Booey.
This movie needs to be talked about a little bit more. Now, I grew up on Wallace and Gromit. Every morning, man, me and my siblings would turn on the TV and put on that amazing British cartoon. The one I remember watching the most is that Crazy Girlfriend episode of Short. Despite this movie having a predictable plot, it's just a fun time. Wallace becomes a fat rabbit due to some freak accident, so his smart dog Gromit tries to protect his owner while crazy hunters try to investigate. I remember watching this as a child, so watching these guys again was just so wonderful. DreamWorks should make more stop motion movies because they are nailing at this every single time. Take Chicken Run for example. They both had an impressive stop motion in their film and have nice heart in both of them. So if this movie's not good to you guys, that's your problem. I heavily enjoyed this film. I mean, I do have some gripes with it, which is why it's placed a little bit lower, but overall, I just love the crap out of this movie. It's a childhood classic. Who didn't grow up on Wallace and Gromit? Come on now. We all wanted a dog like Gromit. So, ants. What do I think of this film? It was this film that started it all. That's very impressive for DreamWorks, other than the fact that it didn't take no material from anybody. Bugs Life. Well, it has an alright story. It was pretty chill, but I wish they would have made some better decisions. Z was a crappy protagonist. I mean, I guess he only cares about himself. I mean, which I don't blame him for, but I mean, it's kind of confusing about the message the movie was trying to say. But the characters are likable, and the jokes, bro. The jokes in that movie, bro, they are out of control. I didn't think this movie would have this many adult jokes. You know what? Let's do a montage, please.
Don't you want your 8-bit beer?
Call me crazy, but I have a thing about drinking from the anus of another creature.
Yeah, and ever since we were little, I've been listening to you complain. What are you bitching about?
Hey, you got a problem?
Damn. Good.
damn good.
I was gonna let you become part of my most erotic fantasies. Who the hell is that?
Don't tell that tight ass anything, Weaver.
What was he doing to her? What was he doing to her?
I'm a princess, damn it!
You get the idea. Mandible was generic than any other villain I have ever seen. Just as soon as I saw his face, I just knew he was the villain. But his plan was smart and clever. I'm gonna be real. I didn't see that coming.
That you
But despite the jokes and the kind of crappy antagonist, it's a nice film to watch with the family. My mom, my dad, my sisters, we all had happy memories watching this movie. It's just fun, stupid, cheesy, and a rip-off of I mean an original idea. So I enjoyed Ants, and if you don't, I would understand.
You like jazz?
How ironic, two bug films at the same time. I know what you guys are gonna say. This piece of crap? How can this film be one of the best DreamWorks films to you? Well, it is to me, guys. I'm sorry. This is me and my family's favorite movie. You guys have no idea how much me and my family quote this movie 24/7. The movie follows this talking bee voiced by Jerry Seinfeld, who tries to sue the human race because he thinks they're trying to steal his honey. I know it's a silly premise, but you know it's goofy and it's fun. I enjoy this movie because how funny it is. I don't really say that about a lot of animated movies because some are cringe and annoying, but this is one of those that aren't cringe and annoying. Well, at least not to me. I am so glad that they did not make a sequel because no one can create a masterpiece like this. And again, I'm sorry if you thought this was gonna be ranked lower, but this is me and my family's favorite film. This is a family film for me. Great comedy, great characters. I surprisingly found Ken funny, but yeah, it's just a good movie overall. I love the B movie with all my heart. I mean, I know I keep saying it's not top tier DreamWorks, but it's still a great family film. Go check it out if you haven't seen it in a while. It's one of the greatest family films of all time. It's freaking hilarious. Go check it out right now. This movie's freaking fantastic. The claymation or stop motion or whatever you call it, it's just magnificent. Chicken Run followed these chickens trapped in Mrs. Tweety's farm. So they try to escape and then they meet Rocky, a rooster from a circus, and with his help they try to escape. Now I love this movie because of the characters, and to be honest, I enjoyed the character Miss Tweety, and here's why. Mrs. Tweety wants to be rich, so she married this dude who owns his own farm, so she thought, hey, I might get that bank. But it seems like life isn't going the way she planned, and all she wants is to get that business off the ground. She was the first true villain I ever loved. As for Ginger and Rocky, they look cute together. Their interactions felt human and realistic, which I love in my movies, but it's also weird because they're a couple of wild animals. And as for the rest of the supporting characters, they're funny. Loki thought that chicken with the glasses was a man, but I appreciated the creativity in that movie. It's such a fun time. It's such a fun time. Like, I love Chicken Run really much. I really love the connections in that movie, the storyline, the claymation, stop motion, whatever. Everything about this movie is just an A+. Don't even argue with me on this one. This is the best one. We all know this classic story. To be honest, I don't think I need to go that much into detail on it. I enjoyed every minute of this movie. Like, I enjoyed the characters, I enjoyed the dragons, and that antagonist, oh my lord, what is that huge gigantic dragon? The antagonist was insane. But I love the character Hiccup and Toothless relationship. It was so nice to see, and it was nice to see Burke have a change of heart after, you know, the dragons aren't that harmful. But like I've been saying, I enjoy the acceptance in this movie, and it's overall just a wholesome film. It's a nice family film to watch. I heavily enjoy this film. Like, this is one of DreamWorks' best films. It has a great message, which is why I love this film series, but in my opinion, the first one is the best one. It explores so much that I've, never known. It's just so satisfying and perfect, and I'm really glad that this was an amazing franchise. Well, an amazing start to a franchise. So what else do you want me to say about this film? It's just so great.
Whoa!
This movie was fantastic. It has a nice blend of comedy, action. This is one of the greatest animated films I've ever seen. I think my favorite part about this movie is the high stakes. I love Lord Chin. He was a pretty sweet antagonist. Again, I gotta make a video about DreamWorks antagonists because he's just out of this world. He is a really good antagonist. I can't say enough good things about this man. Poe still got his comedy. Jack Black never fails to make me laugh. I also enjoyed the character development. It was quite well. I love to see the main characters get used to each other. Despite me not thinking it's better than the first movie, I think it's still worth watching. The energy, the characters, and again, the antagonist. The antagonist don't hold back. He's insane, and I love it. Kung Fu Panda is not a mediocre sequel at all. It's just kind of not what I expected. I kind of wished I could have done more, but it's a great follow-up to the first film. So it is funny. It has great action. Go check it out if you haven't seen it in a while. It's a really good film. Come on, guys, this is the best Madagascar film, hands down. Again, with the origin thing, DreamWorks. Like, we got an origin story for Alex and where he came from, and the film follows him going back to, yeah, I just get the idea. Each character has their own side plot, kind of like a TV series. Alex with his parents, Marty with the herd, Melman in the flu, and Gloria in the meat, if you know what I mean. Every character in this movie feels like a real person, and once again, I hate saying that a lot of times because they're a couple of wild animals, but I'm really glad that Alex was able to reconnect with his family, you know? It was really nice to see. Makunga is the worst part of this movie. I don't care what anyone says. Like, he is so trash. He's one of the lamest DreamWorks antagonists I've ever witnessed on the big screen. He is holding a grudge after all these years. He doesn't move on. That's just sad, to be honest. But overall, Madagascar Escape to Africa is my personal favorite Madagascar film. It is hilarious. The antagonist is kind of better. I mean, no, never mind. And it's just overall funny. Like, you know how many memes come from this movie? You know what I mean.
Oh my god!
He is the star of that movie. I don't care what you say. But this is my favorite Madagascar film. It's the best one in my opinion. And go check it out if you haven't watched it. I highly recommend it. I'm telling you, this is the best Madagascar film of all time.
This is a certified hood classic.
Indeed. Rise of the Guardians was one of the first DreamWorks movies I ever got to watch, and it told a pretty good story. To the animation, to the dialogue, they kind of handled adult themes in a way, but at the same time, they still have that child-free humor I love in my films. The movie follows Jack Frost, who has been frozen for about a decade or so, and he's now a spirit, so no one can see him. But then he gets a message from the moon to join the Guardians, and he thinks he doesn't deserve to be one, but then yada yada yada, you already know the rest, and he becomes a Guardian. I really love Rise of the Guardians. It's such a great film. I love the character of Jack Frost. I love his origin. I love his development. I also love the villain Pitch. He was such an amazing antagonist. I felt bad for him as more as I did for the rest of the characters. I mean, I love the characters, don't get me wrong, but Pitch, it was perfect. Perfect. Like, he did Sandman dirty, bro. He did not hold back. The movie is perfect for the holidays, whether it be Christmas or whether it be Easter. I just love this movie with all my heart. I'm glad that this was the first DreamWorks movie I've ever seen. I love Rise of the Guardians. It's one of the best animated movies I've ever watched. The story is amazing. The characters are actually interesting, and that antagonist is so incredible. He is top tier. They are saying it. He is top tier antagonist mode. I love Pitch. I just love everything about this film. It's just so remarkable.
Everybody was kung fu fighting.
The masterpiece out of the two of them. Now, I love the Kung Fu Panda franchise. I love each and every movie, but the first one is the best one. It was one of the most funniest DreamWorks movies I've ever watched. When I was younger, I remember me and an old friend would say the movie's iconic catch lines. It was so funny. The film follows a panda named Po, who accidentally becomes the Dragon Warrior after trying to see his favorite idols, the Furious Five. Now, obviously, nobody believes in him. You know, they're just making fun of him. They're bullying the crap out of him. But then later, we soon find out that an old student from Master Shifu is coming back from jail. So obviously, high stakes, conflicts are happening, and then he finally comes. But it turns out the secret ingredient was nothing. The secret was you all along. Isn't that sweet? But yeah, guys, this movie holds up very well. I love the fight scenes. The cinematography in those fights was just so good, especially when he sucker punched Monkey to the ground. Bro, I'm telling you, Jack Black never fails to make me laugh. The best scene was the failed attempt to do the obstacle course. I fell down on my belly laughing. Comedy, the dialogue, the characters, each and every moment had a nice layer to it. It has a nice message of acceptance, and despite it not being all that original, I loved it in this movie. This is one of DreamWorks' greatest. I do not care what anyone says, this movie is amazing. Now, I love this movie, but if you're not religious and don't understand the meaning of this movie, then I would understand. But I love Christian-like movies or content. I was blown away when DreamWorks made this movie. Like, it's the story of Joseph. If you have read the Bible or some stuff like that, you would understand every single reference they made in this movie. Joseph is one of my favorite stories, and the fact that DreamWorks did this is crazy. The shots are stunning, the singing was perfection, and the overall plot is 1000. out of 10. This movie is one of those DreamWorks films that actually feel relatable. If you don't find it interesting, if you don't care about it, then that's you guys. But me personally, I love this movie to death. It's a 10 out of 10. I highly recommend this film. If you know what I mean, you will watch this film right now. It has a great message, great story. Everything about this movie is perfectionist. Like, this movie is so dang spectacular. I don't know what else to say about this movie. Just go check it out. It's good. I know I keep saying this. I know I've said this like a billion times. I'm not an NPC, but it's not top tier DreamWorks, but it's still a good movie. This movie was actually pretty good. I remember reading a little bit of the book when I was younger, but I never thought it would actually become a movie. But this movie was surprisingly really good. It's very funny. It follows these animals who are famously known as the bad guys, and after one of their plans go wrong, their leader, Mr. Wolf, lies saying that they'll do good, blah blah blah. You know how it is. But then throughout the film, he starts to change his mind about being good. You know, all obvious stuff they do in movies. But there's some moments that surprised me, and the cast performances was top tier. But once I started hearing more good things about it, I gave it a watch, and I don't regret it at all. It is hilarious. It is funny. The jokes are actually good. The characters are really interesting. The antagonist, bro, I didn't see that coming. I'm gonna be real. I like how DreamWorks is taking our favorite childhood books and turning it into movies. Like they did it with Captain Underpants, and now I heard they're doing it with Dogman that's coming out soon. But overall, I just love the bad guys. Go check it out. It's a really hilarious, fun movie, bro. Another surprising good film. Okay, let me confess, I originally thought this movie was gonna suck. What's that noise? I thought DreamWorks was just straight up gonna copy the art style from Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, just like the bad guys. So, you know, I spent a good time avoiding this film. But one of my close friends saw this movie and told me to go see it, and I did. And I don't regret watching it. Like, bro, I feel stupid. DreamWorks is really smashing Disney with this film. It's actually really better than the first movie in many ways. First up, the jokes. Some creators like to hide them, but in this movie, they just straight up slapped it in your face. Like, they did not hold back. The jokes and the animation, bro. The animation went hard. I love Goldilocks and the Three Bears storyline, and the Fat Guy storyline voiced by John Mulaney. Death is arguably one of the best DreamWorks antagonists I've ever witnessed on the big screen. Like, his goals was just so simple. He just wanted to fight, and if he lost, then he'll dip. That's all he wanted. Just a challenge. I love the character of Puss and Kitty in this, and the new character, Pepperito. I didn't the puppy. Yeah, they're cool. They're a nice trio. And the ending, bro, that was the best ending I've ever seen in my life. So yeah, this sequel was a bit of a step up from the first film. I loved it very much. There wasn't really that much problems I had with it. It was just a simple and fun time. It's one of the best DreamWorks movies I've ever got to see. I feel bad for trashing on it. Spider-Verse really changed the animation game. I'm really glad that they're making a lot of films in that 2D animation. It's really good.
Rise and shine.
Come on, guys, it's Shrek. He's one of the mascots of DreamWorks and has a successful film series and spin-off. He's on your cereals, he's on your underwear, he's in your memes.
My pee-pee itches.
Like, he's so popular. I think we all know why I put this movie at number 4, or at least a high number, because it's just so good. This movie struck my heart. Well, specifically in the first 2 films. We all know this classic story. The characters are just iconic. I don't really think I gotta go into that much detail. You guys know what I mean. The movie, it's hilarious. It has great jokes, like really, really great jokes. That is why I love this movie and why I find the character of Shrek to be relatable. This movie has a fantastic message. Like I said, great characters. Oh my gosh, like the story is probably my favorite part. But I'm pretty sure you understand why I don't have to go into that much detail into this. It's just so phenomenal. Like, Shrek is so iconic. Well, like, there's nothing bad about him other than the last 2. But still, like, you're not a monster. You're a normal person in this world. You are worth living. But you guys understand, Shrek is just so phenomenal. It's so heartfelt. It's one of the greatest DreamWorks franchises, or just like one of the greatest franchises of all time. I love this movie so much. It's a classic. Come on, guys. It's Megamind. This movie's a masterpiece. To the action, to the humor. This proved itself to be one of the greatest movies ever made. Do you know how many videos are made about this movie? I originally was gonna make a video about this movie, but, you know, it didn't work out, but I'm talking about it now. I'm also very pissed that this was also one of DreamWorks' lowest budget films. I mean, it didn't do bad, but it didn't make that much money than I expected. Megamind tells the story of the titular character who was treated badly by his peers around him, who made him turn into a villain. And his classmate became the most famous superhero of all time, Metro Man. Not Superman, but Metro Man. I really enjoyed the supporting characters in this movie. I love Minion, voiced by Dan Cross. Like, his dynamic with Megamind was very nice to see. see. Roxanne, I mean, she was cool, but she said stuff like this that would just make my balls twist and turn.
Say we go back to the evil lair, grab some ray guns, hold them sideways, and just go all gangsta on.
Bro, but despite her being cringe and a bootleg Lewis Lane, she is fine. I mean, just look at her, bro. Titan was an amazing antagonist. He threw a temper tantrum for no apparent reason, like Sneeko when he complained about Charlie, but he fit perfectly in the antagonist role. But Jonah Hill did a good job. I loved his vocal performances in Megamind. But overall, I love this movie because it tackles on good topics. I mean, we got The Boys and Invincible, you know what I mean. Me personally, I feel like the movie's trying to say you can do whatever you want, but at the end of the day, you have a choice. Because people in this world do have choices. It's like when your arch nemesis is defeated. What else can you do? I mean, your whole purpose was to just do this back and forth, and now that he's finally gone, what else can you do? We are people in this world, and we do have purposes we desire in life. And that is why I love this movie with all my heart. In my opinion, this is one of DreamWorks' greatest films ever made. It tells a great story, funny characters, and it's just perfect.
Let's go.
This is the greatest Shrek movie ever made. Come on now. I don't think I've ever witnessed a masterpiece of a sequel than this. I enjoyed the Shrek franchise, but this movie was just special to me. To the story, to the jokes, I am not surprised that this film did well. The fairy godmother is a top tier antagonist. I loved every moment of her. Not only is she set, but she's also a really good antagonist. This movie's much more funnier than the first film and introduces the man himself, Puss in Boots, and Fiona's parents. I think my favorite part about this film is them continuing the story of Shrek and Fiona. That was the best decision for the writers to make. I love the father feeling bad for Shrek after what he's done to their relationship, even though he got what he deserved. I just love Shrek 2 very much. It has a really good story. Each and every character makes you feel something in a certain way. Has more with their characters they're trying to tell in the story. Has a great antagonist. I loved her so much. Oh my goodness. This is one of my favorite animated movies, and I think you understand why I placed that at number 2, or at least I hope you do. And in conclusion, I can just say that this is one of the best animated films of all time, but it's not as great as... I know, a bit controversial, but this is my all-time favorite DreamWorks movie. You may be looking at me like, what is he, crazy? Like I said, I love Jesus-related movies, and this movie changed me about my relationship with my friends, my siblings, my parents, crushes. Like, this movie gave me the confidence to speak up for myself, not to back off. The movie follows the story of Moses, which if you again read the Bible, you would know the story. You know, he gets a message from God, that let my people go storyline, and they get a happy ending, etc, etc. You know. This film makes you feel wonderful, and the music in this movie is just so fantastic. I am very glad I got to openly express this. I know you might be thinking like, what? How can this piece of garbage be the greatest DreamWorks film of all time? Well, it is to me. I don't care what anyone says. This is a masterpiece in my eyes. To some, it could be a crappy DreamWorks movie no one talks about, but I love this movie with all my heart. And DreamWorks deserves all the praise with this amazing masterpiece of a film. I've said that so many times. Okay, that is it. That was me trying to rank every single DreamWorks film they've ever made. I'm done. It's over. It's so crazy how long I've been working on this. I've been working so hard for you guys all these months. That's crazy. I mean, if you guys care, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm not gonna make any money from it. I'm probably not gonna get that much recognition from it, but it was a pretty fun thing to make. And of course, I have a lot of stuff to review that I've missed out on, so that's gonna be a roller coaster. Type in DreamWorks in the comments. That's how I know you've made it this far into my video. Follow me on Twitter. I recently got it. I don't know how it works, but if you guys comment some stuff I could post on Twitter. Follow me on Instagram. I post cool stuff. And yeah, thank you for watching my video. Make sure to spread that love, spread that positivity, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.